g'day. How you going? What do you know? They'll strike a light. G'day. And how you going? Just say g'day, and you'll be right.
Welcome to the Midweek End Times News and Trends Briefing as we share major events and what is happening around the world as it relates to Bible prophecy. Today's date is Wednesday, February 22nd, 2017. It seems that every day that goes by, more and more stuff is happening around the world, and the intensity of these events, the statements by some of the politicians, and the disasters around the world. There was just a plane crash that just happened at one of our local airports here. So sad to see. There's these 4 Americans that were going to go on a golfing trip to one of the little islands off the coast here, and so it tragically crashed as soon as it took off. But we see tragedy around the world at a rate that we've never seen before. Let me get into some today's headline news. According to the Jerusalem Post, the Syrian official vows to back Hezbollah in potential war against Israel. So a senior Syrian official vowed to back Hezbollah in any future conflict that the Lebanese terror group may have with Israel in an interview on a Kuwaiti newspaper. He said that we will be partners with Hezbollah in any future war against Israel, unnamed official from the newspaper labeled one of the senior decision makers in Syria. The comments came after Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah warned last week that the group's missiles were capable of hitting Israel's nuclear reactor in Dimna. According to the official, stated that Hezbollah and Syria are a shared destiny and will work together against any attempt to harm the proxies of Iran in the Middle Eastern area. The Syrian official comments were in the latest of a back and forth between Israel and Hezbollah in recent days after Nasrallah threatened to attack Israel's nuclear reactor on Thursday. Israel reported to send a message to Hezbollah through an Arab intermediary that in any aggression would be met with harsh response. Of course, you're going to try to protect your nation and try to protect your people. But this tension continues on a daily scale. Hezbollah leader Nasrallah also warned, according to the Times of Israel, that no red lines in the next war with Israel. So Hezbollah leader Nasrallah said on Monday will double down on his recent saber rattling against Israel and warned that his terror group would not hold back from attacking sensitive Israeli targets if the Jewish state goes to war with Lebanon. He mentions that they will not keep any red lines in future war with Israel. So it's just a matter of time before we see this conflict and the war breaking out in this particular area. Another type of headlines that catches your attention out of the IB Times says, is Iran preparing for war in the Middle East? Russia to send $1 billion in weapons to Tehran. So this article talks about this manufacturing corporation, how they're building these S-300 missiles, and it's calculating up to a cost of $1 billion for these missiles that Russia is going to be giving to Iran. Anyways, on another issue, Nikki Haley slams United Nations for anti-Israeli double standards. So you see how this Security Council was, again, how they're against Israel, except for the now new U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, because under the Obama administration, they were against Israel, and they're supporting all of what the Arab nations were doing. But according to this particular report that came out of the Blaze, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, gave a very strong statement condemning the United Nations for their anti-Israeli bias and double standards against America's Middle East ally of Israel. So it's nice to have someone that will defend and protect Israel within the United Nations. Speaking of Israel, again, Netanyahu is here in Australia right now. As this report, he came in this morning. He's in Sydney, and how he comes in just on the heels of some of the former leaders and how they're trying to push the Palestinian, the two-state solution. So he was Benjamin Netanyahu was just coming in from Singapore, doing a 36-hour visit there on Tuesday. He focused on economic and security issues, and then he came to Sydney, where he's expected to hear much more, and from the opposition politicians and the media about the Palestinian issue. While he was in Singapore, it was decidedly a low profile. His meeting with Singapore Prime Minister only appeared on page 9 of one of the newspapers because Singapore's main English newspaper and a number of anti-Netanyahu protests are expected during that time and also here in Australia. The Singapore, according to the diplomatic official, didn't want to overly highlight the visit as not to antagonize the neighboring Malaysia and Indonesia, Muslim-majority states not keenly on Singapore's closest ties to Israel. Netanyahu is scheduled to arrive in Sydney on Wednesday morning and leave back on Israel on Sunday, and will be the first ever by an Israeli prime minister here to Australia, considering Israel's closest friends in the world. Although the president of Israel visited in 1996, but there hasn't been any foreign minister that's had a visit since that time. The Prime Minister, again, will have a full day of meetings soon after he arrives on Wednesday, which we're reporting right now. Include separate meetings with the Governor General and also Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. He's also scheduled to hold a press conference with Turnbull and attend a luncheon with his Australian counterpart and Australian Israeli businessmen, and then he's going to go to a local Jewish community and then also to visit one of the colleges there. But as he's visiting here, again, there's a lot of other protests that were going on, and also different leaders of the government who are really trying to push a two-state solution, and which we know is not going to happen. And again, there's not going to be peace in the Middle East because the Palestinians do not want peace. They have such hatred, such racism that's being promoted, and they do not want to see a peaceful negotiation. They want to see Israel wiped off the map. They don't want to see the existence of the Jewish people anymore. So again, there's a lot of countries that are trying to push this whole two-state solution, but it's not going to work because you have the other key party there, the Palestinians, who are just violent, aggressive, and such hatred against the Jewish people. Speaking of anti-Semitism, over 100 gravestones on a separate report that was desecrated in the St. Louis area in the Jewish cemetery, according to the Jerusalem Post. So, again, it is anti-Semitism and it is racial hate crime, no matter how you want to package that story. On to another issue, and we'll be closing out with these stories about migrant problems throughout throughout Europe. Migrants are to blame for the most serious crimes in Sweden, according to a police officer, and the police officer who spoke about the migration crime is now under investigation for hatred, racial hatred. So just for speaking out the truth, because Sweden has been covering up these facts, and until President Trump highlighted this particular situation this past week, people were very ignorant of what was really happening there in Sweden. Riots are breaking out. You see just the violence, the rape. And again, there's a report that talked about the 10 reasons why Sweden's multicultural utopia is massively failing. And again, it kind of goes through from the multiple hand grenade attacks in Swedish no-go zones. And those no-go zones, again, the police just don't even go in there anymore because of the response of the migrants going in there. The police are quitting their jobs in huge numbers. They said that there's an estimate of 80% of police who are considering another career because of the violence and the government not letting them properly do their jobs due to the political correctness. There's at least 55 real no-go zones there in Sweden. So those are the areas you just want to avoid at all cost. From the violence there to setting cars on fire, you name it, it's happening there. The most serious crime is committed by migrants, according to another report. Migrants are raping underage migrants in asylum homes. The raping and the sexual crimes are just off the charts, with all kinds of assaults taking place. The Swedish authority and media are covering up all these attacks. The Swedish school scores on another part of this report was talking about they are suffering because of the migrants. And then, of course, the majority of Sweden's unemployment are these migrants, these foreigners. And again, the taxes in Sweden are high in order to pay for one of the best funded welfare states on the planet. But these migrants are not contributing, they're leeching off of them. And then you have, on the heels of that, another report that talked about in Germany with Merkel, who's saying that Europe must take in more migrants. Islam's not the cause of terrorism. So she's in absolute denial of what has taken place within her own country and all the other countries in Europe where all these migrants are and refugees are coming from. And some of these people are coming from that are the most dangerous from Syria. And another report, we mentioned it, I think, the previous week, but also the president of Syria, Assad, declares, "I support Donald Trump's travel ban on Syria because it will stop terrorists from infiltrating the United States." And so we see these attacks against President Trump because he wants to keep America safe, and he wants to do a stronger vetting system from these terrorist people that want to come into the country. And not every one of these refugees are terrorists, but all it takes is one individual to cause harm and destroy so many people's lives. So President Assad was backing the report of the travel ban that President Trump had put in place. So that whole scenario, which has just been a battle because so many people are against that, but everyone wants to see safety within their own country, and this is one of those measures you got to do. But the liberal left media, the snowflakes, if you will, once you tell and share the truth, that they can't respond. And it's so funny to see some of their facial reactions when they get confronted with the facts and the truth and the statistics of what's going on. It's a priceless look, that they have. Anyways, exciting times that we're living in. We're getting closer and closer to the return of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We need to live lives with expectancy of His return, lives of holiness, filled with His Spirit, saturated with His Word, and prayer for in all things. And we just need to continue to share the gospel with as many people as possible. And this is all we have time for in this particular episode. Until next time, may the Lord radically and outrageously bless you.